Hey guys, Moniz here, and this is the LG G7 ThinQ, LG's latest flagship of 2018. A few things have changed in terms of design. Last year, the G6 was a little bit more boxier to hold. This year, they've refined the edges, so it's a lot more comfortable to hold in the hand. You have that beautiful chrome design going around the device, and this time you also still get a headphone jack. These days that seems to be a feature. Now unfortunately you don't get dual speakers, you only get one mono speaker on the bottom, but LG is using a new thing called Boombox. And the way Boombox works is they've basically redesigned the inside of the phone to act as a chamber. So the sound kind of bounces around the inside, providing a lot more of a louder experience. Now I've played with it for a little while. I compared it to the iPhone X and it's definitely louder than the iPhone X, but I still think the dual speakers sound a little bit more clear. Can you give us a little flex? Thanks.
I always flex when I go over here.
All right. The display has been bumped up. Last year we had like a 5.7-inch display on the G6. This year we're going up to 6.1 inches. Now, we're not using OLED like you found on the V30. They are using IPS LCD, but they've managed to get the brightness to go all the way up to 1,000 nits. Now, you're not going to see this generally when you're using the phone. You're only going to see this when you go outside and there's like really bright light. You'll see the display get bumped up and the brightness will increase. Now, you guys know how I feel about notches. I'm not a big fan of notches, but the good news is that you can actually disable it on the G7. So if you don't like the way it looks, you have that option under your settings. All right, so let's talk about the cameras for a second. You still get dual cameras on the back. One of them still does widescreen view. So if you want to get like a nice landscape shot, you want to get your buddies in the photo, it's still going to be able to do that. A nice change from the typical 2x or 3x zooms you see on other competitor products. Both sensors are 16 megapixels. The main shooter can do 1.6 aperture, which will get you better shots in low light. And it's using a new feature that basically binds the pixels in order to see dark spaces. So you're gonna get really great nighttime photos. We just did a test where I compared it to the iPhone X, and the iPhone X looked very pixelated compared to the nighttime mode on the G7. I'm actually very interested to see how it compares to Huawei's P20 and P20 Pro. Besides that, you also get a front-facing 8 megapixel camera. It's your typical sensor. You have AI built into this phone, so it'll be able to detect objects like flowers, people, food, and you have options to boost those colors using different filters. So think of artificial intelligence in ways to basically color the photo for you, as opposed to just relying on something that's auto or bringing it into post-production and doing it later. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is the fact that there's a dedicated button for voice assistance, but the good news is it's not Bixby. Bixby the dog is not present in this phone at all. You get to use Google Assistant, which is fantastic. Now, some of you might not like that because I know there's been a lot of complaints out there of people accidentally pushing the button while it's in the pocket. But if we're gonna have a dedicated button for something, I'd rather be Google Assistant than other competing products. Right, Bixby? Now in terms of battery life, I can't tell you exactly how long the phone lasts, but inside you have a 3000 milliamp battery, which should pretty much get you a full day's use without having to charge. The only concern that I have might be because it is using an LCD panel. There might be a little bit more battery drain compared to an AMOLED panel, but again, this is something I have to test out once I actually get my hands on the device and do a proper review. Now, one thing I forgot to mention earlier is the fact that you get the quad DAC inside of this phone. And generally when you buy an LG phone and you want that feature, you have to look to the V30 or the V series. So it looks like LG is making this a staple in all their flagship devices. I know a lot of audiophiles out there and people who just appreciate good sound in general will want that quad DAC, because when you have a good pair of headphones that need power to drive them, being able to have a DAC that supports it will provide a much better audio experience. So that pretty much wraps up my hands-on so far with the LG G7 ThinQ. Once I get my hands on this device, I will be putting out a more thorough review. Let me know some of your questions in the comments below. Let me know what you want me to look into. I want to hear what you have to say. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.